I read something on your website where you said that you learned what it felt like to chase money instead of meaning. And I
Mm,
was like, wow. I related to that so much. I mean, just even in the past couple years, even being on Wendy Williams and saying I am the table, I
yes.
was in a different headspace then than I
Mm,
am now.
mm,
I definitely was in like the money grabbing headspace then. I can admit that, you know. But I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in these years. You know, I lost my mom. You know, like
mm.
we've had a whole pandemic. Like I've done so much inner work, and now I'm like, wow, you know, I'm cultivating my inner abundance. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm really excited about. So tell me what that process was for you.
I'm not very conformist. I don't do very well in institutions. We are both Spelman alum. And that was challenging for me, right? Because Spelman is very conservative institution. It's very, has an aspirational Spelman woman that we're all supposed to kind of conform and aspire to be. And that was never my bag. Like I'm not very good at fitting into other people's definitions of me, no matter how even flexible they try to be. And so I knew that, you know, as an adult, I had to figure out how to make money. And so I worked at nonprofits, global nonprofits. I've worked at Microsoft. I've worked at retail. I've worked all kinds of things trying to like figure out how to get the money, get my money up, create the lifestyle I wanted, create the life I desired. But it was never really about my authenticity. It was never really about checking in with what I valued, who I wanted to be, how I wanted to express myself and be myself in the world. And so I was just kind of like trying to conform despite knowing that it wasn't working for me. But I tried. I gave it the good old college try and it never worked. Even though,
Yeah,
but I love the paycheck, right? So I was like
I understand.
so I had to
Yes.
like do that self accountability and really call into myself. And what I realized as I started to be more honest was that I hadn't learned how to trust myself enough to be the supply of the abundance that I wanted. I thought
Wow.
that it was going to be outside of myself. It was going to be a boss. It was going to be my parents. It was going to be an institution. It was going to be like that. I hadn't learned that I could be the resource of abundance within myself. And that took a lot of come to Jesus moments and rock
Mm.
bottom before I realized, oh no, L'Erin, you got to get humble and then be obedient. And once that changed the game, that
Mm.
because it got me out of my ego and my mind of striving and listening to the divine within me. I am a vessel through which abundance flows. I am the vessel through which prosperity is expressed. I
Mhm.
am just, but that requires humility and obedience and not me thinking I have the answers. Once I get the guidance to just do it, regardless of how it looks on paper, regardless of what other people are going to think about it, regardless of whether it fits the status symbol of whatever, you know, like I, again, have pink and purple braids, which I love, right? Like I
Yeah.
love it, but people have been think it's unprofessional sometimes. People think like, how dare you can't make money like that? And I'm like, no, this feels authentic to me.
Mhm.
And when I'm in authenticity, abundance comes. Like it's the authenticity and abundance are kin. They are lockstep with each other.
Yes.
If I was trying to conform, not only would I feel out of alignment and out of integrity, abundance wouldn't have a place to come through.
There'll be a stuck. There'll be a block.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think that that is part of like the journey of life is just finding those blocks and just being able to get over them, hurdle over them, punch through them, whatever needs to happen.
Yes, yes. So I have like a daily meditation practice. I'm in prayer. Like I'm
Yeah.
constant. My prayer now is just like use me, let me be available, and getting out of my no matter what it looks like. I just do what I've been instructed to do. That's
Okay.
the only difference. And then in that, I get clients I don't even interview for, right? I get money that just, people are just like, you were on my heart today. I'm just going to drop some money in your account. Like just consistently,
Yes.
consistently money comes. That it's not about striving. It's not about working. It's not about proving. It's not about earning. It's not about hustling. It's just about allowing the abundance that's already there.
So besides struggling and striving, the other things, the ing that we want to get away from as Black women is the suffering.
Hello.
Okay. And there's this expectation that Black women should suffer. And I see it on social media every single day. More and more Black women, we're doing well for ourselves. You know, we have beautiful lives. And if you show that, people want to humble you for some reason because we're supposed to be the lowest on the totem pole. I know you can relate to this, and this is part of the work that you do. So what do you feel about that?
My mantra for Black women right now is that you can be successful without struggle or sacrifice. And I don't even think we know that. I think we think struggle plus sacrifice equals success.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, no, let's take those other two factors out and you can just create the success you want on your own terms. And that requires giving yourself permission to do it, giving yourself permission to be authentic, giving yourself permission to tell your truth, giving yourself permission to be creative, giving yourself permission to be obedient. Like all of those things are required. Now, if you are playing the game, whatever the game that is, the corporate game, the capitalist game, the somebody else's game that someone else set up, yeah, you're going to generally have to play by their rules, which require Black women to suffer and struggle. But if you choose, I'm going to create success without that, then that's when you get innovative. That's when you get creative. That's when you get resourceful, which we're known to be.
Yes. Yes. Do you think that you can be authentic to yourself and also work with big money capitalist, maybe organizations to pour into you? How can we not be a part of the game, but also use the game to lift ourselves up?
I think you can. That's not my ministry, but I think you can. I think people can. I think it's more complicated because you have to kind of hold in awareness the structure within which you are working and know that it was not set up for you to thrive. And so setting boundaries, saying no, honoring your limitations is not going to be celebrated in organization structures that are not created for you to do that. So you can do it, but I would encourage anyone who's listening to this conversation not to do it ignorantly, not to do it blindly, thinking that you're going to get like a round of applause for having healthy boundaries. Probably not. Like, not how it's going to work. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't have healthy boundaries. Just know that the institution isn't set up to respond to you that way. So if you honor that and then you don't look for your validation or your affirmation or your congratulations there, and you're like, I'm still doing what I got to do, honoring myself inside of this institution, I can still thrive. Yes, it just takes, I think, a heightened level of self-awareness that most people haven't learned how to practice because they think the institution has their back, which most of the time it does not.
Oh my gosh, so true, so true. I love what you just said about not seeking the validation. That is such a major thing. I am really just coming to grips with how much of a grip outward validation has on my life, needing this person to know that my intention was this way. And it's like, I've had to have conversations with myself, like, no, as long as I need someone else to think that that was right or that was good, I'm always going to be fighting for somebody to see me, when really, if I know what I did was right and I know that I was good, that needs to be enough.
It is enough.
Yeah.
It is enough. Exactly. And maybe they'll see it, maybe they won't, maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't. But that's actually has nothing to do with the value you bring to the table or you being the table, right? Like whether they see the bounty or not has nothing to do with the bounty actually being there.
Exactly.